Hi guys, this is Wizard1 on Red Flag Deals, just doing the follow-up video review of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4G phablet smartphone. I've been using it for approximately a week, and here are my impressions on the phone. The first thing I'm going to talk about is really the weight of the phone. It does feel nice to hold in the hands. It's very sturdy. That's mainly because of the large 3100 milliamp battery that's inside this phone. It's really big, and it gives the phone a lot of heft to it, and it feels nice and sturdy in the hand. Speaking of the battery, the 3100 milliamp battery, as expected, gave relatively good battery usage and usage on the phone itself. We looked from full 100% charge, but all the way down to zero, down to it actually turning off. We got about 15 hours of usage, of light to medium usage on the phone. So that's putting it down every once in a while, but then picking it up and playing some games and whatnot throughout the day. In terms of charging, from absolutely zero all the way to 100%, you're looking at 3 hours to do a full charge. Next thing we're going to talk about is the screen here. The screen is a 720p screen. It has relatively good viewing angles. You can see it really clearly, no matter really how you hold it. It's pretty clear, and it's a nice sharp screen that we have here. For the speaker, okay, so as you heard just now, the speaker quality, in my opinion, it's reasonable, and it's actually better quality than most other speakers I've tested out on on other Chinese smartphones that I've used. Most other Chinese smartphones I've used gives you a really tinny metal sound, and it's not really sharp, and the bass isn't there. But this phone gives you better quality sound. It's clear and has a reasonable amount of bass on it. One thing to note, if anyone is contemplating and getting this phone, it took me a little while to figure it out. It was annoying. I was trying to get it to randomize play for my playlist, and I kept on trying to figure out how to do this. I tried pressing all the menu buttons and whatnot and could not figure it out. Eventually, I did figure it out, and it's actually hidden. It's hidden up here. So if you drag up, you'll see the menu here, and that's how you control randomizing or repeating, or however you want your music to play. The next thing we're going to talk about is the reception on this phone. A lot of people, of course, have concerns with most Chinese phones with reception. Overall, I'm using Fido, and the reception is pretty good. As with most Chinese smartphones out there, the placements of the sticker antennas is pretty much standard. Right here, and one down here. Overall, I'm actually pretty surprised and happy with the reception with this phone. It gets better reception than most Chinese cell phones out there. I get low 4G reception in places like my office, where I normally would only get Edge or 3G speeds. In my office, there's a lot of interference, so that's why I normally get really shitty quality reception in there. But for this phone, I actually get decent reception in here. Just quickly look at the speed test that I ran earlier on this phone. So as you see, for the speed tests on 4G, I got 76.95 megabits per second download and 11.57 megabits per second upload. The download speed is pretty much around the average I would normally get on a Chinese smartphone. I've gotten as high as about 100 megabits per second on other phones, but this one gives you still a decent 76.95 megabits per second. In terms of upload, the upload is a little slower than most phones I've used. Other phones I've used, I've gotten not consecutive, but consistent, approximately 20 megabits per second, but this one's only registering at 11 megabits per second. Next thing I want to talk about is the actual keyboard on the phone. So the keyboard on this phone actually it has its own version of something like SwiftKey, so it's pretty good at predicting what you're typing in. It takes a little while to get used to, but it does just as good a job as SwiftKey. The next thing I want to talk about is the overall MIUI that they use, which is the skin on top of Android that they use here. It takes a little time to get used to because there's a lot of stuff that's been moved around. If you're used to more of a stock Android interface, there's a lot of things that have been moved around that takes a little time to get used to. An example of this is if you go into settings for security, because I was looking on how to encrypt the phone. So when I went into security, it mainly only shows you in terms of notification and shortcuts and whatnot, nothing to really do with your actual security of the phone. And actually they have a separate app here called security, which is where you would control all your security portions of the phone. So first one we have is the Cheetah memory cleaner. We have a data usage app here. We have a block list for calls. We have a battery app. We have a built-in virus scan. I personally don't trust it, so I use something else. But this is the 10-cent antivirus program, and also lets you this one also lets you control the permissions here. Another thing is on downloads. Whenever you download anything, it actually goes here. The shortcut goes here for all the downloads that you've done. Another thing to note is that when I first started using this phone, I got really annoyed because I kept on trying to download the apps I normally use for the phone to test it, but it would not download. It kept on saying waiting for LAN. And the reason for this is because in this downloading settings, there's actually a download limit size, or download size limit. And on the original default settings, it's set for always wait for the LAN. You can set it to different sizes, but a little annoyed that it goes from 20 megabits all the way to unlimited. There's nothing in between. I would rather have either me able to type it in or maybe set it up a little bit higher than that, because there's some stuff that's only a few hundred megs, and I'm okay with a few hundred megs because I have 6 gigs of data, so I'd like to have something like that. Something else that I've used on this UI that I don't particularly like, and it took a while for me to get used to, is that all the apps that you install actually show up on these screens. There's no real app drawer button, which is normally here. There's no app drawer button for you to go and manage your apps. Everything you've installed on the phone shows up on this somewhere. So I'm going to show you where to actually go for the app drawer, which is really annoying because you have to actually go into settings, go all the way down to application manager, and then finally you get what you would normally get for your app drawer. Another thing I want to take note of on this phone is that with the MIUI, there is some adware built into the phone. When I was using it, it's actually pretty annoying. It pops up every once in a while, and it tells you to download these games and whatnot, and it's really annoying for that. The trick to do that is you go into the application manager, and you want to disable the following apps here. You want to disable DC Share, you want to disable DU speed booster. You want to, and also disable the go to reach service and the search app and the weather app. Once you disable these ones, you won't have any more problems with random apps popping up out of nowhere while you're using the phone, which gets really annoying. The next thing I want to talk about is the GPS on this phone. So let's just turn on GPS. So overall, I'm actually pretty impressed with the GPS satellite here. You can see that it actually picks it up relatively fast. Okay, maybe not so fast. Normally it picks up really fast, but I guess not this time. Okay, this is taking a lot longer than it normally takes. I'm not completely sure why. Maybe because I'm indoors, and maybe because I don't have a SIM card in there to help it out with the AGPS as well. But it still hasn't really gotten a fix on the on my position yet. Oh, there we go. So we have a fix now, 3D fix on the position. So you see that it does sometimes take a little longer for it to pick up full satellite connections with the GPS. Outdoors, it actually does a much better job at getting your GPS fix. The next thing we're going to really look at is the camera. The camera is it's a 13 megapixel camera. So let's quickly look and see the quality of the camera here. So this here is an HDR picture of some flowers in my backyard. You see that it's pretty clear here. Next one is the same flowers but with just standard just a standard without HDR, which is still pretty clear and sharp in bright light situations. Here is a low light situation where I actually just turned off all my lights and then did a picture of my Minion collection from McDonald's this year, and I turned on the flash and took it, and it's still pretty clear in terms of everything. You get good details on all the Minions that I have, including the one that says WTF. So that's the camera. Again, it's really good, pretty good on the camera itself. The last thing I want to look at is how it handles games, because this phone is a quad-core Snapdragon CPU on it. So I had issues where I was scared that it wouldn't be able to handle the games that I can throw at it. So we'll try Asphalt 8 first. It does take a little longer than normal, but here we go. Okay, and I died. Okay, so that's the phone for the for Asphalt 8. So you can see the quality of the graphics and whatnot is still pretty good on the phone. Let me just come out of there. We'll also look at Mortal Kombat here and see how that goes. Mortal Kombat takes forever to load for most phones out here, so don't be surprised now if it takes a while to load. It's taking its sweet time to load. Let me just wipe the dust off the screen here. Okay, so there you see a little bit of Mortal Kombat. It is a slight bit laggy compared to other phones I've used with like the octa-core smartphone CPUs, but overall it's still pretty smooth as you saw. The UI itself is really smooth. I don't really have any issues with it. So overall, this phone, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4G phone, is a very good starter phone if you really haven't used a phablet before. It's relatively reasonably priced. It's reasonably powered. The quality of reception that you get on the phone is fine. The sound quality is fine. The UI, again, it takes a little time to get used to, but it's perfectly fine in terms of usage. Just follow my tips before on what to disable to get rid of those annoying ads that pop up. So overall, my recommendation is that this phone is actually a good phone for most people. I plan to actually give this to my mom because she needs a new phone, and I think this phone is perfectly good for her. Again, thank you very much everyone for watching this video. If you like this, please subscribe, and I'll be posting more reviews very soon. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.